Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're heading into some pretty fascinating territory, looking at ancient stories to maybe understand a bit more about life, death, and what happens next.
Yeah, and how our actions sort of echo, right?
Exactly. We're diving into this collection of, well, vivid tales from an old Buddhist text. They talk about these beings called Petas.
The departed ones.
Right. And it's not just ghost stories. These narratives are packed with insights into karma. So our mission today is really to pull out the key bits of wisdom, show how actions, words, generosity, how it all connects.
And it's amazing, these stories are ancient, but they tap into something really universal. Cause and effect,
Huh.
looking for meaning beyond just this life.
Yeah.
They're like moral guides, really.
Huh.
A window into how people way back then saw the world and the consequences of, well, how we live.
Okay, that really helps set the scene. So let's meet the stars of these stories then, these Petas.
Yep.
What exactly are they? What's their situation?
So Petas, it roughly means departed ones. They're basically spirits, suffering spirits. And their suffering isn't random. It's a direct result of negative actions, bad karma, from their past lives.
Okay.
The texts often picture them sort of lingering near the human world. Descriptions like standing behind walls, at crossroads, and by doorposts of their former homes. Really evocative.
Kind of haunting.
Yeah. And the really sad part is, even if there's plenty of food and drink around for the living, they suffer this intense hunger and thirst. Why? Because, the texts say, no one remembers them.
Wow, so invisible, starving, and forgotten, even when surrounded by abundance, that paints a picture.
It really does.
And it makes their dependence really clear, doesn't it?
Hmm.
So if they're stuck like this, suffering, how can living people actually do anything? Is there a way to help? The stories seem to suggest something quite specific.
There is, yeah. It's not just about grief or missing them. It's about actively transferring merit. Generosity is the key here.
Merit transfer, how
Yeah.
does that work?
Well, there's this great analogy in one text. Enlightened beings, arahants, they're like a fertile field. Donors are like farmers. And the gifts, they're the seeds.
Okay, I like that.
So when you give, especially to worthy recipients like the Sangha, the monks and nuns, it's like planting seeds in the best possible soil. The act creates this spiritual fruit, you could say.
Fruit for the giver.
For the giver, yes, but also, and this is crucial for the departed relatives they're thinking of. The texts are pretty direct. Doing good deeds and honoring the departed leads to heaven. It's an active process.
So just, mourning and crying, that doesn't actually help the Petas themselves.
Apparently not. The stories say it pretty clearly. Crying and lamenting do not help the departed. What does help are donations given to the Sangha. That benefits them for a long time.
How is the benefit transferred? Is it described?
It is, quite beautifully, actually. Relatives prepare good food and drink pure, delicious, timely stuff. And then, importantly, they dedicate it. They say something like, may this be for our relatives. May our relatives be happy.
With intention.
Exactly. And the Petas, they sense this. They gather, they're happy, and they actually wish the donors well in return. It's like this flow of positive energy.
That image of rain flowing down to low ground or rivers filling the ocean, that makes the transfer seem almost physical.
It's a powerful metaphor, yeah.
Yeah.
And it really drives home how reliant they are. The texts say Petas can't farm, raise cattle, trade, or buy with money. They subsist on what is given from this world.
Total dependence. They can't generate good karma for themselves anymore.
Right. Their suffering is this constant need because they're cut off from the means of creating their own positive future. So those acts of generosity from the living are like their only lifeline.
Okay, so that's the positive side, generosity as a lifeline. But what about the flip side? What if people are stingy? Or worse, what if they actively stop others from being generous? The consequences sound pretty grim.
Oh, they are. Definitely grim. The texts draw a very stark line between stinginess, harsh words, and some really extreme suffering. Well, one story describes these Petas. They've got clubs, they're bloody, disfigured, and they're literally drinking each other's blood.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then they run into their own kids, who are living well. The kids explain, we're okay because we gave donations to monks and wise people. And the Petas have to confess, yeah, we were stingy, we hated those people. And now, this blood they drink, it never satisfies.
Drinking blood that never satisfies, that's a specific kind of hell, directly linked to their past mindset, not just the action, but the attitude.
Exactly. It's not just about not giving. It's about the internal state, the malice, the possessiveness that fuels that lack of generosity. Karma seems tied just as much to why you do or don't do something.
And it seems like actively trying to stop generosity or being abusive about it has even more direct, almost grotesque results.
It does. There's another really graphic one. A Peta who eats, well, filth, excrement, pus, blood. Her clothes turn into worms. And this horror is tied directly back to her life. She was the wife, stingy and uncharitable, who absolutely laid into her husband whenever he tried to give donations. She reviled him, abused him.
So she wasn't just stingy, she was actively hostile to generosity.
Right. And she actually cursed him, wishing on him the kind of suffering she's now experiencing herself. It literally boomeranged. It's a chilling example of how negative intention and cruel words create your own future misery.
It really makes you think about the power of words, not just actions. These stories seem to put a huge emphasis on speech.
A massive emphasis. It's not just about what you do with your hands or your money. What comes out of your mouth carries immense karmic weight.
So how does bad speech play out? What kind of results?
Well, there's one being described with a golden body but a boar's face,
Okay, that's striking.
isn't it? And the reason. In life, this person was restrained in body. Their physical actions were okay, but unrestrained in speech. The takeaway is blunt. Don't speak evil. You can look good on the outside, act properly, but if your words are toxic, the result can still be jarringly unpleasant.
Golden body, boar's face. That image sticks with you, and it gets even more specific about the types of bad speech, doesn't it?
It does. Another story really drives it home. A being with a divine luminous form looks amazing, but their mouth is full of worms and smells foul.
Wow.
And this wasn't just anyone. It was a sama, an ascetic, someone you'd expect to be disciplined, but they had wicked speech, specifically slander, talking behind people's backs, and lying.
Even someone on a spiritual path.
Yep, no exceptions. It's a stark warning that you have to be vigilant about your words, your intentions behind them. Karmic law applies across the board.
That's humbling. And then there are those really disturbing stories. The sun-eating Ketas, they're incredibly dark. What's going on there?
Yeah, those are probably the most visceral. These Petas are described as naked, ugly, foul-smelling, and they're constantly eating their own children 5 or 7 day and night, but they're never satisfied. Just endless, horrific hunger.
Yeah, this connects back to...
It connects back partly to acts of abortion in their past lives, often driven by things like jealousy or pride. But the texts emphasize something else even more strongly. The false oaths they swore to deny what they did.
False oaths.
Yes. Like, one of them specifically said, "May I eat my children's flesh if I did that," trying to cover up her actions. And that curse, uttered as a lie, literally became her reality.
Oh my God.
It's terrifying, isn't it? It shows the sheer power of a deliberate lie, especially one sealed with a kind of malicious oath. Your words can literally create your own personal hell.
Okay, so actions have consequences. Words have maybe even more specific consequences. Given all this, how do these stories suggest we should approach, well, the inevitable? Loss, death itself, our reactions to it.
That's where another layer of wisdom comes in. It's about accepting impermanence and seeing maybe the futility of excessive grief.
Oh, so?
There's a story about a man just devastated over his dead bullock, really mourning this animal. A wise person comes along and kind of gently points out the irony. You're weeping for this bullock, but look around. Where's your grandfather who died?
Shifting perspective.
Exactly. Helping him see the bigger picture of loss, the natural cycle. It helps them remove the arrow of sorrow, as the text puts it. Understanding brings relief from that intense personal clinging.
The arrow of sorrow. That's a great phrase. It's about understanding, not suppressing grief, maybe.
I think so. And another text really reinforces this philosophically. It uses these powerful images like the body being a serpent shedding its old skin.
Right.
It's natural, inevitable.
Sure.
It says flat out, the departed spirit doesn't know the lamentations of relatives. And comparing deep grieving to a child crying for the moon or trying to piece together a broken pot, it's useless. It doesn't change the reality.
It sounds quite stark.
It is, but maybe practical too. The dead are gone to their own fate. They came uninvited and left unbidden. It pushes towards acceptance of death as just. Part of how things are.
Acceptance of the natural order. But there's another twist, isn't there? Even the good results, the rewards for good karma, they might not be permanent either.
That's a really important nuance, yes. There's this fascinating story of a Peta living in a beautiful, divine mansion, gorgeous place. Why? Because of one small good deed she did. She cleaned a bowl for a pure-minded monk.
So a small act, big reward. Temporarily, anyway.
Exactly. temporarily.
Yeah.
Because the story then reveals that in just 4 months, she will fall into a dreadful, bitter hell, a really nasty one. Iron walls, fire, the works.
Wow, from a mansion to hell in 4 months. Why?
Because her deeper, unresolved negative karma from the past was still waiting to ripen. That small good deed gave her a temporary heaven, but it didn't erase the older debts.
That completely changes things. It's not just about racking up points.
Not at all. It's a powerful reminder of impermanence. Everything changes, even heavenly states. And it shows that karma is complex. One good deed is great, but it doesn't necessarily wipe the slate clean if there's heavier stuff outstanding. It suggests real transformation needs to address the whole picture, not just surface actions.
So bring this all together. These ancient stories, they're giving us this intricate map, really, showing how actions, words, intentions, generosity, stinginess, it all ripples outwards.
Yeah, they're much more than just warnings. They're like a practical, ethical toolkit. They highlight how powerful generosity is, why mindful speech matters so much, and the deep wisdom in accepting that things don't last forever.
Right.
They really push you to think critically about how your choices are literally building your reality, maybe even beyond this life you know now. What you sow, you reap.
And whether you literally believe in Petas drinking blood or living in mansions, that core message, it's undeniably potent, isn't it? Every action, every word, it's a seed. And that seed will grow into something.
Absolutely. The harvest depends entirely on the seeds you plant.
So for you listening right now, here's something to maybe turn over in your mind. If even a small kindness can bring temporary bliss, but those deeper karmic accounts eventually come due, what's one thing you could do today? One daily action, maybe, that aims for truly lasting benefit for yourself, for others, something that goes beyond just a quick reward or dodging immediate trouble. What would that look like?